So good morning. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Reverend Davine, and I'm the staff minister here. And it is my honor to be able to speak with you today. This month, our topic has been compassion. And it's something I'm passionate about compassionate care, and that means so many things. And my talk title is Love the Hell Out of Difficult People. Now, my mother used to always say to me, is that the mouth you pray with? And I guess it is. So, love the hell out of difficult people. Sit with that for just a second. I'm certain you can think of somebody in your life that's a difficult person, that's part of your life, and you get to figure out how to love them anyway. How do you love them up? How do you see them as love? Because we know that if we go about the day looking at people as the eyes of God, the beloveds, that we're connected to them every day, even the difficult people we can figure out how to connect to. When I thought about this topic, the first person I thought about was my mom. And I have a very interesting, loving, codependent mother-daughter relationship where the boundaries get muddled tremendously. And no matter how I try to draw the line in the sandbox on this is your thing, this is my thing, it gets muddled. Now, my thing is about trying to honor her and show her respect. And she had a relationship with her mother that she was her caretaker for the last 10 years of her life. She made a vow to her mom she was going to take care of her, and she did that. So there was a certain little spark in my mom's mind that said, my daughter will do the same thing for me when it's my turn. Not operating out of agreement, of course, because that would be a healthy way to work with things as opposed to a codependent way to work with things. And so my mom said at some point over a year ago, I'm afraid to live alone. As a soon-to-be at the time minister, my job was to take on that fight. My job was to take on the role of, I can do this. Not asking me, do I want to? Does it feel like it's the right thing for me to do? Am I even equipped to do this? But I'll do it because it's the right thing to do. I'm expected to do this. Does this ring true to anyone in the room besides myself? Relationships you have with people where you are expected to do something, therefore you do. And then afterwards you have a lot of anger at yourself and that other person because you did. You didn't stop and ask you, how does this feel to me? Do I want to do it? Well, I did the dance with my mom for about 9 months, and there were parts of me melting down a little bit that I kept trying to stuff into little corners so no one would see it was getting a little messy. And then my mother told my brother that she felt that I wasn't giving her the correct medicine. Can you say elder abuse? I'm thinking to myself, whoa, where did that come from? And of course, I contacted her doctor because I wanted it on record that, you know what, this is the job description I signed up with my mom, and whatever she's got going on is not my bit to do. And I am giving her her medicine the same as I have every day because I wanted it on record. I did not want to have any problems. And I said to my mother that night as I put out her, she wanted me to put her meds out. I said, I don't think I feel comfortable with that anymore. Now just think about how that's compassionate. I had to be compassionate to me and find a way to be compassionate with my mother and say, no, I don't feel comfortable anymore. I understand you feel I'm not giving you the correct medication. This saddens me because I'm giving you the same meds I've been giving you every day. So we're not going to do that anymore. And it became very clear to me that I wasn't the one. I wasn't equipped. I didn't have the skill set to be a caretaker. I'm not qualified. And in our society, we believe that as children, as husbands, as wives, as nieces, as nephews, we're supposed to take care. We don't have the proper skill set to take care, but because we like to pay attention to the media with all these terrible places that take care of our elders and abuse them and don't do good things to them, instead of the wonderful angels that walk around daily taking care of our beloveds, we don't even know how many magnificent angels are out there taking care of our loved ones. And so rather than turn that over to the people trained with a skill set, we think, oh no, I can't put them in one of those places. Something terrible will happen to them. In our teaching, we do believe that whatever you believe, you attract. So if you believe that something terrible will happen to your elder, your loved one, it will. I had to let that piece go. I had to just say, I'm not going to get the Best Daughter of the Year award. I'm probably going to have people say terrible things about me and my family, that I didn't do this thing. I just said, you know what? My mom is going to do way better if I step away and have someone else care for her. And I was right. She's been doing wonderfully. And I'm bringing this up to you because my brother has been my father's caregiver for many years now. And my brother is kind and compassionate and patient and nurturing to such an extreme that when it got to the point where he couldn't lift up my 250-pound father if he fell, he said, Daddy, I can't do this anymore because your safety is at jeopardy now. That's compassion. That's not neglect, that's compassion. So my father's health has been spiraling downward for a really long time. And my brother was constantly taking him to emergency at the Palo Alto VA. And, you know, every year for the past 5, we've been preparing for the day when we rushed him to emergency. This service is dedicated to Samuel Young. My father is right on the verge of transitioning, and I want to talk through that because that's the most compassionate thing I can do. I can talk about the fact that it is part of our life process. We come into this world, we share our magical gifts, and then when our earth suit starts to fail us, we go on to the next dimension. We don't die, we just are immortal spirits that go on to the next magnificent journey. And in this teaching, I'm comforted to know that my father's body is ailing and failing him. And it's time for him to go home. It's time for him to let go, let God, and be okay. I didn't have that relationship with my father. My brother had that special relationship with my father. And my brother called me Wednesday morning. And he said, do you need to come to emergency right now? Because Daddy's lungs are not working anymore and we don't know how much time we have. And I'm thinking, when the heck did he go to the hospital and why wasn't I called? Because he always calls and says to me, we're going to the hospital now, you got to get in the car. I let go. I said, well, that's not important. Let's just get in the car and jam up there. Told my boss, got to go. I get there. The doctors are angels talking to my father in the most loving, gentle way. Mr. Young, we think it's probably going to be best if we move you upstairs to our other wing. It's a hospice wing, but for right now, let's just look at it as a way to make sure you get your 24-hour care. And my father said, I want to go home. And the doctor said, well, I think that's fantastic, and I want to prepare you to do it. So let's just get you strong enough. Now, he knew my father wasn't going to last much longer, but the angel of compassion that he was and that he is, said, let me be with this man in a way right now where he needs me to be with him and honor what he wants. He says, I'm afraid if I let you go home, you won't get the full care you can get here for right now. He says, so let's just go week by week, Mr. Young. Would that be okay with you? And my father looked up at my brother as if he was a 5-year-old little boy. And he says, son, what do you think I should do? And my dad looked at him and just kept pleading, what am I supposed to do? My brother says, well, Daddy, I think you should do what the doctor says. I think we should do this for right now, Daddy. Let's do that because then you get the care you need. My brother is choking back tears. He's trying to keep a face of kindness and compassion and dignity without falling apart. And inside of me, a little girl was saying, I wish I had that relationship with Daddy, because I don't have that relationship. But then the big girl said, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that my brother does, because my brother can be the one to take care of him right now in this gentle way, to support him upstairs to hospice. My dad took my brother's arm and said, if we go, will you stay with me? And my brother says, of course, Daddy. And they'd already explained to him, your lungs are shutting down now. It's too much work on your heart. We really don't know how much longer you're going to be able to keep doing this, Mr. Young. And my dad's trying to process it, and my brother's saying, you know, Daddy, it means that it's time to go. It means it's time to let go and let God and just go home, Daddy. Go home to all your relatives. They're waiting for you. And my dad said, okay. Wednesday afternoon, he was moved upstairs. The wonderful nurses came and took care of him. Oh, Mr. Young, nice to meet you. My name is so-and-so and so-and-so. We want to make sure we get you everything you want to be comfortable. The doctor said, Mr. Young, no more dieting. He has, low sodium and this and that. He's not supposed to eat. Have whatever you want, Mr. Young, whatever you want to have. Anything you want. And my father says, anything? And my brother jokingly says, my dad is a clown. He says, so my dad's probably going to have some conditions about going upstairs, and now that we're upstairs, he's going to have these serious conditions about staying up here. And the nurse says, well, what'll that be? Well, my dad wants to have a hot pastrami sandwich because he likes those. So we're going to go handle that shortly and get him that hot pastrami sandwich. The nurse says, fantastic idea, excellent. And you bring in any other foods he wants and anything else from home that'll make him feel happy. If that is not the epitome of compassion, I don't even know what is. And then she says, well, what else did you want, Mr. Young? And he says, well, my brother says, he wants dancing girls. He wants you to bring on the dancing girls. And this little itty-bitty woman, trying not to look shocked, like, okay, boundaries here, boundaries. She says, well, you know what? And she kind of does a little hop around for a couple minutes, and she says, you know what? So-and-so is coming on shift in a little while, and she'll play the guitar, and I'll dance for you, Mr. Young. Will that be okay? And he smiled at her, and he said, that would be lovely. Here she is, knowing full well she's not going to do this, but it meant a lot to him to be honored at that moment. They have been that way with my father, and for 2 days, Thursday and Friday, my father has been asleep. He slept, he was on morphine, he's on methadone, he's on a lot of stuff for comfort care to just drift home. Yesterday we went over there and my brother started thinking, you know what, I'm getting him up. The nurse says, well, we've tried to get him up. He says, well, first of all, his hearing aids aren't in, so he probably can't even hear you. He says, no, I'm getting him up. He puts Dad's hearing aids in and he shakes them. Dad! My dad's like, huh? What? He He says, Dad, you've been sleeping for a long time, man. What's going on? And my dad says, oh, I have? Yeah, Dad. And then he had not been sleeping. He's been in the betwixt and the between. He's been in the twilight. And some part of him knew he had been in the twilight. And he gathered us up, my sister-in-law, my brother and I. He gathered us. He said, come close to me, come close to me. He held our hands and he put them up to his face. And he kissed them and he said, I'm sorry if I wasn't a good enough dad. I'm so sorry if I let you down and didn't do a good enough job. Please forgive me. I love you each. He held our hands. We held him. He says, I would like to go home now. And my brother says, Daddy, what do you mean? He says, I want to go to the other side with my family. They're waiting for me. And we said, okay, Daddy, that sounds like a great idea. And we held him, and he started naming different people and different things, and my dog on the other side, and this dog, and give her a hug and a kiss. And it was so amazing because he kept saying all these things he needed to clear. And he said, do you guys have anything you need to say to me? I need to know. He was really in this compassionately loving place to us. Do we need to know something? Do we need to feel something from him before he lets go? So he kept saying 2 different times, okay, guys, you need to go now. I want to go home. And many, many people do say that when people pass, they don't want anyone in the room, and as soon as people exit, they'll go. So I took my sister-in-law's hand. I said, come, we have to get out of the way now. Come. And my brother promised my father he would sit with him and hold his hand. And he did for hours. Hours. Stroking him and telling him, go to the light, Daddy. Go to the light. And I'm texting everybody for prayer that Daddy go to the light and all this. And I'm thinking in my own mind, wow, I wonder how long this will take. Not selfishly, but just out of genuine curiosity. Like when? You know, you're waiting and you're watching. And finally, it's a long time. And we get food and to take shifts to get food. And I have to take a nap because I'm really burnt out and I'm stressed out. And I was trying not to cry and upset my dad. Short version, my dad drifted out. And I'm thinking I'm going to get up. We all spent the night there and got whatever sleep we got. And he says, something said to me to go in the room. It's 5 o'clock. I want to go in the room. And if he's still here, I want to sit with him. I want to talk to him. I want to sit with him. My brother's in the chair like I left him. And he's talking to my dad. I'm like, what the heck is going on? My dad's up talking to him. And I'm just like, whoa, a little bit spooky. So my brother says, yeah, Daddy's been telling me all about his experience on the other side. He says, come sit down with us. I sit down. My father's been drinking a lot of fluids. The nurse is saying, kind of cool out on these fluids now. And I sit down and he says, where have you been? Oh, Daddy, I was having a little nap. Oh, okay, good. And he grabs my hand and he's telling me all about how peaceful it was, how the white light was. All the relatives were lined up. He says it was warm and it was welcoming and it was friendly and loving. He says it was so peaceful and so beautiful. He says it was wonderful. So my brother says, Daddy, again, my brother being the compassionate man, Daddy, do you want to be here or do you want to go home? He goes, oh, I don't really care. And he's closing his eyes. He's opening his eyes. He's closing his eyes. My brother and I nod. We give each other that secret nod because he and I are very deeply connected and close. And we knew Daddy came back to share whatever he needed to share for us not to miss him and not to feel sad or be frightened or be worried. He came back to have that final little piece with us to say, I'm now ready to go home. It's actually more comforting to me to go home than to be here. The television was on. We had the news on or whatever was on. And he looks up at us and he says, something's on fire over there. Is there a lamp on fire over there? And we're looking like, what is he talking about? It was the bright light off the television screen. And because he was still kind of confused a little bit on where he was, even though my brother had said, you're in the hospital, he was just, you could tell he was still more on the other side than this side. And so I know between when I left this morning at 6:30 until sometime later today, Daddy's going home. And I'm grateful for the compassionate doctors and nurses who have been on his team. I'm grateful for my brother, this stellar man who has the biggest, most compassionate heart, who was the one to do that good work. And I'm grateful for this teaching to remind me he's not gone. He's here. I can talk to him daily, so I don't have to hold up his process of going home. I can hold him as I did yesterday and say, go visit your relatives now and name everyone so he could comfortably just let go. So I urge you, if you are taking this load on of the caretaker that is not yours to do, don't do it. You're not qualified. You're not equipped. And you're not a bad person. You're loving those people so much that you know they need other people that have this skill set. And to remember, every single time when you look in people's eyes, if you love them right where they are, whether they're difficult or not, you will change something inside of them, and you will be changed because you will have opened your own heart up in such a way that you are far more compassionate than you know, and that you make a difference every day in such a way you don't even know, that makes this day better for everyone you come in contact with. So practice your practice of compassion. Practice your practice of loving others right where they are. And remember, they're not difficult. Just because they don't connect easily with you, don't put that label of difficult on them. You wouldn't want it put on you. I thank you for allowing me to dedicate this time to my dad, for supporting me, for letting me hold myself together to know that the only way to demonstrate what compassionate care or compassion looks like is what I'm doing right now, honoring his memory. And Reverend Abigail said, do you want me to find someone else to speak today? And I said, no. It's mine to speak. It's my talk to speak. It's me to share my compassionate heart with your compassionate hearts. Namaste. Thank you. Let's take a moment to go inward and pray, please. Infinite Spirit, Divine Mother, Father, God, that is in and through absolutely every single one of us, holding our hands and nurturing, comforting, and sustaining us as we walk this magical pathway. I'm knowing that we are connected to everyone and everything, and that the compassion within our heart is beyond our own knowing. But if we allow it to burst forth and be who we are in spirit and in the glory of who we are as God's beloved children, we shine our bright lights. We allow others to shine their lights. We allow each other to see that magical light of one another. And we realize we're far more connected to one another than we are difficult or separate. Remember to give thanks every single day for the opportunity to connect with one another. For when we connect to one another, we're sharing our true essence. We were brought here to share. All the talents, the wisdom, the creativity, the magnificence that we have, when we give it and we share it in a compassionate way, we make a quantifiable difference in someone else's life that day, and we make a shift and a greater opening for our own bright light to shine. I am thankful for this knowing. I am thankful for our own willingness to be big, to be bright, and to be bold. I am thankful for knowing that as we hold this to be the truth, and that we know this is the truth, and that we know that this is the law and the way the law works, that just as I'm speaking these words for all of us in this room and beyond, it is already being demonstrated. It's being demonstrated in such a way that we can see it, claim it, and give great thanks for it. I let go. I let go and let God have it. Let God do it, knowing as I get out of my way and let the God Spirit within me do the do, it is done perfectly, beautifully, and far more spectacular than I could imagine. And if any of this resonates with you, please anchor it with me by saying, and so it is.